Hey everybody, Eric and Katie with Mount Modern Life.
And today we're going to be announcing the sex of the baby with you. So for those of you that are new here, we are currently pregnant with our baby that is due in August. And that is after quite the journey. So we do have a first trimester recap video that you can check out if you want to learn a little bit more of our backstory and our history. And then I do also have a week 14 to 20 week video that kind of goes through how I was feeling during those weeks. But we found out the sex of the baby at week 10 during the NIPT testing, and I'm currently 23 weeks pregnant. We chose not to do a gender reveal party, but because we've had so many emails and messages just asking us what we're having, we thought we would have a little bit more fun with it and just kind of share it with you today.
Yep. And to make it a little bit more interesting, we're going to go through about 15 of the old wives' tales that people use to kind of get an idea and predict what the sex of their baby may be. We've looked at them throughout our journey and kind of just had some fun with it along the way. So we'll go through those and kind of see where we land. But then later on, we'll bring in McNally and Tahoe to reveal the sex of the baby.
And those are our dogs, for those that don't know.
All right, let's get into the wives' tales. All right, so for the wives' tales, we have a list here. I'm going to read off of it, so just bear with me. But the first one is the gender prediction chart. Now, this is actually based on the age of the mother at conception and also the month of conception. So with that being the case, what's the prediction here?
So you can check out these charts online, or you can even just plug the information in. But when I checked it out, it said that we were going to be having a girl.
A girl. Okay, so one for girl. Number 2 is dry versus oily skin. And it said that if you're carrying a boy or predicting that you're carrying a boy, you're going to have much drier skin. However, if you're carrying a girl, it's probably going to pull all that oil out to the surface. So what do we go with here?
So my skin's definitely been way drier. Now it has been winter, so that probably has something to do with it, but definitely drier.
Drier, okay. So that's one for boy, one for girl. Number 3 is pregnancy glow. So what they predict is that if everyone's complimenting you on your glow, then you're probably going to be having a boy. If the compliments are a little slow to come, you're probably going to be having a girl.
Okay, so I'm going to say I'm split on this one because there are days where I feel like I'm glowing, where I've been told I'm glowing, but there's been so many days where I'm just super haggard. So
fair enough.
I'm going to say I don't know on that one.
All right, we'll chalk that one up to not sure. So that's one for boy, one for girl, and one for unknown. And the next one is acne. So based on this one, they kind of say that the girl steals your beauty. So you're probably going to be having a lot of acne, whereas if you're having a boy, you probably won't have as much. Where do we land here?
So when I first found out I was pregnant, those very few first weeks, I was definitely having a couple breakouts. But since then, I haven't had any breakouts, I would say. So I would say no breakouts.
Okay, so that's 2 predictions for boy, 1 for girl, and 1 for unknown. The next one is baby's heart rate. So now what this one generally predicts is that if you're going to be having a girl, the heart rate is going to generally be faster, higher than 150 beats a minute. And if you're having a boy, it'll generally be lower, around 140 or a little bit below. Where are we here?
So during all of our visits, our ultrasounds and Doppler visits, the heartbeat has been above 150.
Above 150. Mm-hmm. So that would be predicting a girl. So that would be 2, 2, and 1. So the next one is cold or warm feet. So it said if your feet are mostly cold, you're probably going to be predicted to have a boy. Whereas if they're more on the warmer side, your prediction's leaning towards a girl.
So my feet have definitely been cold. I'm always wearing socks or slippers. So yeah, they've been cold.
Cold. All right, so that is 3 predictions for a boy, 2 for a girl, and 1 for can't really read on the symptoms. The next one is craving, salty or sweet. It's generally said that if you're craving salty food throughout your pregnancy, that's going to tend to lean towards a boy, whereas if you're more on the sugar-sweet side, you're leaning more towards a girl.
Okay, so the first trimester, I hated anything sweet, like could not touch fruit or just anything that was a little bit sweet. But since the second trimester started, I am like wanting all the cakes and pies and fruit and just, yeah. So I still crave salty. Like I have to have cheese like all the time, but I would say it's definitely split. It's like I crave all the things. I just want it all.
Fair enough. So that would then now be 3 predictions for boy, 2 predictions for girl, and 2 that we just don't really know. So then the next one would be if you're carrying high or low, which that's generally leaning towards predicting a boy if you're carrying on the low side, but generally predicting a girl if you're carrying on the high side. So what say you?
I would say that I'm carrying more high versus low.
High versus low, so that's more girl. So now we're at 3 predictions for boy, 3 predictions for girl, and 2 that we just don't understand our symptoms. So the next one is morning sickness. So they tend to lean towards predicting a boy if you have a ton of nausea, but you're not actually throwing up. And then predict towards a girl if you have more throwing up along with the nausea.
Yeah, so thankfully I was just nauseous. I mean, it was horrible and it was like 24/7 nauseous the whole first trimester, but it was only nausea.
Okay. So that would be 4 predicting boy, 3 predicting girl, 2 our symptoms just aren't clear enough. I think I did that math right. Yes, yeah. That's 9, and that's the one we're on. Okay, so number 10, daddy's weight gain. So this one says that if the dad is gaining weight, you're probably going to have a girl. Whereas if the dad stays about the same weight, you're leaning towards a boy.
You haven't gained any weight that I've told. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I will take that. So that one would be boy, which would be 5, 3, 2. And then the next one is headaches. So they predict that if you're having extreme headaches while you're pregnant, you're probably leaning towards a boy. And if you're having no headaches at all, probably leaning towards a girl.
So I started having massive migraines like as soon as the second trimester hit. They were kind of like rough the first couple weeks, and now they've like, I don't have them too often, but I get them every so often. I'll get one and it's a freaking migraine. It's horrible. So yes.
So are we leaning towards boy with the headaches, or?
I have headaches, so I would say, yeah, boy, I guess if that's.
Okay, boy. So that is now 6, 3, 2. And now we're going on to number 12, which is sleeping on your left side or your right side. It's generally predicting that if you're sleeping on your left side, you're leaning towards a boy, and if you're sleeping on your right side, you're leaning more towards a girl.
So I am generally a back sleeper. So since the first trimester, I really was practicing sleeping on my side because I knew it's better to sleep on your side, which was really hard that first trimester. But I would say now I sleep way more on the left. Like I'll switch sides and I'll sleep on both, but the left I'm like way more comfortable and sleep longer that way.
Alrighty, so that's 7 boy, 3 girl, 2 symptoms just aren't understandable. So number 13 is heartburn. Now, there's also the old wives' tale out there that if you have heartburn, you probably have a baby with a full head of hair already. But then there's also some that suggest that if you have a lot of heartburn, you're probably leaning towards a girl, whereas if you don't have as much heartburn, you're probably leaning towards a boy.
So I've had so much heartburn since the second trimester, like every day, all day. Like I wake up with heartburn. I'll like fall asleep at night and wake up, like I'll be woken up from heartburn. So there's like definitely heartburn going on.
So that's definitely predicting a girl there. So now we are 7, 4, 2. All right, so the next one is one that I'm hesitant to touch, but the old wives' tale talks about if you're moody or if you're mellow. So it's generally predicting that if you're a little bit on the moody side, you're probably leaning towards a girl, but if you're more mellow and chilled out, you're leaning more towards a boy. Go ahead and handle this one.
So this week aside, I would say I've been more chill. Now this week has been rough. I've been freaking moody. So let's just not count this week. But other than that, I definitely think I've been more chill.
More chill. So that one's leaning towards a boy, and I can 100% agree with that. I've enjoyed this pregnancy thoroughly.
You can agree I've been moody this week? Yeah, let's just
so
move
that's
on.
8 to 4 to 2. Let's go ahead and move on to number 15. So the last one is the Mayan system, which is another one that takes into account kind of the calendar. What it does is it looks at the mother's age at conception as well as the year in which the baby was conceived. And then it looks at those, and if both are even or both are odd, it leans towards a girl. Whereas if one's even and one's odd, it leans towards a boy.
Okay, so age at conception was odd, and year of conception was even.
So that's leaning towards a boy. So overall, we are at 9 for boy, 4 for girl, and 2 that our symptoms were just unreadable. So overall, based on all the old wives' tales, it says that we should be probably predicting a boy.
Okay, okay, interesting. So let's go ahead and hand it over to McNally and Tahoe to announce what we're having.
Woo!
McNally, you excited to be a big brother? Good boys. All right, so there you have it. We are expecting a boy in August. Pretty excited. And we would have been excited either way, but it is really interesting to me how the old wives' tales predictions were actually true.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting that they lined up. It's also throughout the process, it's pretty fun too, right? Because as you're reading them, each one can lean a different direction. So you're just on your toes.
Or they can lean a different direction at different times of your pregnancy because they're pretty much just pregnancy symptoms in general.
Symptoms in general.
But I am really curious if you followed it or if you've looked back on it and if it was accurate for you. So definitely let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for swinging by today. We're really glad we were able to share this with you, and we'll see you again soon.